Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready to note for Gnosis. Now, I want to talk about rates here again. I brought up rates on many occasions, and I want to talk about how to use rates, particularly with radionic technologies. And I'm going to be having a video that actually demonstrates what I'm giving you here in a lecture, which I'm going to try and keep down. But I think to a certain extent, watching somebody and listening to them is more distractive. So a good preparatory lecture is good. Kind of like they do in schools, which is, of course, the teacher talks about it, then you do something practically. This works really well, and learning things correctly is important. Now, what is a rate? A rate is a energetic sigil representation in numerals of an energy form. Now, what you're trying to do is to give an actual symbolic representation to an informational energetic field. Because you're going to create a particular information energetic field, and how do you label them? Well, you could put a name on it, but there's something to numbers that creates a particular sigil. And people don't understand that all advanced mathematics in particular are just creating sigils. Feynman, the famous physicist that everybody loves, he was quite a character as well, a comic guy. Well, he took all the numbers and equations and made them basically into images or sigils. He got rid of the numbers and made them into pictographs, very similar to hieroglyphics and other things. Now, cultures have been doing this from the beginning of time, and life really boils down to everything is taken from their word form, their spelling form, whatever form it may be in, because those are all culturally specific, and your brain transfers them into an image. So I've talked about this before to a certain extent, but a bird in all languages is a bird. It all looks the same, but it is not spelled the same. It is not pronunciated the same. You're going to use a different word, but universally, we switch it over to an image of a bird. Now, all of these symbolic representations, which is called advanced mathematics, when you look at equations that are advanced mathematics or physics in general, well, what they really have created is a very interesting symbol. It's actually a sigil. It's a component of many items, which basically what a sigil tends to be. So you have this figure and that figure there, and that means this. And Feynman, of course, took all the major equations and turned them into images so that people would better understand them and it would be easy to work with them. Well, this is exactly what he did. And of course, I've said this for many years. And of course, that's what a lot of what is considered the occult sciences does. There's many different symbols throughout what is called occult sciences that mean certain things. And we also be very specific. I mean, that's the nice thing about the English language, which has close to 1 million words and growing every day, compared to other languages, which is typical of European languages. They only have 3,000 to 4,000 words. Can you imagine that compared to English that has 1 million? Well, who's going to get you a clearer understanding of it? So ironically, English and Chinese are very similar to each other. You say, well, how could that be? Well, the Chinese have a symbol, which basically is a word that means an exact item. So they have a word that means boat. They have a word that means printing press. We have, in English, we have that word. So we have the boat word and so forth. Yet other languages do not do that. What they do is use a combination. A boat could be called the truck that floats in water. And you'll actually use 3 or 4 words like that. That's very typical of all languages out of Europe. They also complicate the language by giving everything, and this comes from Sanskrit as well, so it's around the world they use these vague, horrible terms, and then they wonder why they can't get their point across. Uses male, female, and even neutral, which I don't quite understand either. I'm not sure what they were trying to think of that. But this is very typical in all Spanish, German, French, etc. They're all using these la lu for in the front. A man, women, the cow is masculine, the milk is feminine. So they have these bizarre masculine, feminine things that make absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it does pollute their mind and thinking. So, which is why you get such impure and garbage thoughts out of most European thinkers. And how they've ever been able to translate some of these scientific and philosophical texts in any kind of decent manner, it still staggers me, because there must be literally hundreds of errors there, because you cannot directly translate something, because the word has to be understood in a proper way. So with the male and feminine, and of course with so many languages, particularly German, where they push all their words together, that are combination words, we would call them run together words to a certain extent, to describe something. So all of this is the kind of nonsense that you run into with European languages. So we all use these sigils. Now, sigils are very important. So the whole idea is, what do we take? Now, if we use a long number, now most sigils are based in 9 separate numbers from 1 to 10. That's what your dials are. And that's really the best way to work. I've worked with more advanced units which have 0 to 100. The problem with that is getting an actual rate going through a 0 to 100 dial is very difficult. Now, people try and get ahead of that by using different techniques, which I'm not going to go into here now because it's confusing. So 0 to 10 is perfectly fine, and you're getting 9 separate numbers for that informational energetic field. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, information energetic fields have energy in them for a specific purpose, and you are finding that field. You are labeling it with a number, but it's not really a number. It's a numerological representation of an energy field. And I hope everybody gets that. I try and present things in a very simplistic, straightforward manner. Since myself, I'm highly dyslexic, understanding all this stuff to me is very easy, but I still have trouble learning to a large extent, so I'm able to then teach people, and I hope is a very simple, straightforward manner. So this number, which isn't a number in terms, we didn't count for this. This isn't $700 million. These are not connected to anything. They are numbers that in themselves are forming a sigil because they have no numerical value. So the numbers together don't mean anything in terms of this is a cost, this is a measurement, etc. That is, the numbers represent a sigil unto themselves. So 9 numbers put together, which means you have a 9-digit number. That could be 10 because some dials do go up to 10, so some of those could be in the 10. So, theoretically, you could have several 10s, but generally you're talking about a 9-digit number. But that doesn't mean it has value of 9 digits. So it's not something that we're putting this is a cost, this is a measurement, etc., like I just said. So it's a actual number representation, and that's what you are using it for. And by dialing something in, it makes sense. What are you supposed to put pictures on there? I guess we could. 2 clown heads, 2 clown feet, a sausage. I guess you could put those that would represent the same thing, but numbers are something that we all relate to. Basically, we've been brainwashed from day one to say that numbers explain all of life. So this is an actual understanding that we have. So that's why numbers are used. And we use them in so many areas, numbered dials, etc. If you're turning up the volume, is it on 1? Is it on 10? So there's a way of understanding a certain power level that way, even though that doesn't equate directly to radionics, because radionics, the number itself doesn't necessarily mean power in terms of increased energy. But that's what you're doing there. So, and everyone has done this. Newton made up his own arithmetic to explain what he was talking about. I believe that's calculus. He invented calculus to explain what he did. But, this is a contrivance. He made up stuff to prove what he was talking about. Now, people could say that he made up math so that you could understand what he was talking about. And certainly Newton has his pluses and has figured out a lot of things in the world. And basically, he was the only great physicist that the physicists ever had. Everybody else followed what he said. Einstein and his famous equation we talked about did not come from him. He copied it from someone else. He explained it and gave some insights into that equation, but he did not come up with that. And Einstein himself was really thought to be a retard as a child. So I'm not sure how that story makes any sense to me. But the point is that everything goes back to Newton, who kind of explained everything, which apparently in lots of areas is very helpful and is very practical. And of course, what was Newton? Well, Newton was an alchemist. He spent more years in alchemy trying to figure out alchemy in general and how to apparently convert base metals into gold so that he could become very rich. He was also a great mystic in terms of he was very much into religion. So it's interesting that we use this combination. I think if we use this combination today, we could really jump leaps and bounds ahead. And leaps and bounds ahead would be using more metaphysical thinking with scientific thinking, which basically is what he did. And when he did that, he figured everything out. Because everything goes to Newton, basically. And everything after Newton is really some contrivance using Newton's understanding. Or someone else's contrivance. So it's very important to understand that because it puts together a way of thinking. But let's get back to, we all understand numbers, we understand them together, so it's something we can relate to easily. And as human beings, we've been brainwashed to use numbers and to solve everything with numbers, and we see them every day. We see numbers on absolutely everything from our phones to our TV controls. They're constantly using numbers, our bank accounts, etc. So it's kind of familiar, and that's good. So when you want to get a field for something, if you want to get the actual vibrational, informational, energetic rate for something, how do you do that? Well, what is the actual rate for success, for spiritual protection? Well, this has nothing to do with any kind of Hertzian frequencies. You got to remember, all radionics rates have nothing to do with Hertzian regular frequencies that come out of your wall that you use with electrical appliances. That has nothing to do with it. Those are particular types of measurable physical energies. These are non-physical energies. And lots of times frequencies are used and this kind of terminology, and that kind of confuses people. Now, there are frequency machines. They're called Rife machines. They put a Hertzian field in you that's supposed to cure diseases, disable toxins in your body, you name it. Some people claim there's a physical frequency. This has absolutely nothing to do with the most potent energies on the planet, which are informational energetic fields. So, totally different. These are non-physical, and at this time, while you can measure them and we can kind of figure them out, we don't really have a meter other than using pendulums because of the problems with not having funds to make meters, but we can't measure these fields exactly through a meter quite yet. There are some meters that have been worked on, etc. So there are some ways to do this, but there's really nothing out there that has actually been able to use a traditional meter on. Now, with a Hertzian energy field, you can measure that by using a meter that will measure the vibrations of that Hertzian energy field, which I don't want to go into. How many things vibrate per second and so forth. It just confuses it at this point. So you guys remember it's apples and oranges. So you don't use the two together. There are some bozos out there that do this. You don't. It doesn't work like that. These machines do not broadcast those kind of energies. Now, you can broadcast electrical frequencies, but that's not how these things work, and they certainly don't work with the ways that we are doing it. So to convert a thought form into a electrical frequency, or Hertzian, doesn't work well. This is not how it works. You have to go to a higher level, and radionic energies are completely different than any other type. They are not electromagnetic in nature. They are bioconsciousness in nature. They connect with a whole bunch of very subtle but extremely potent energies. So it's completely different. And we're going to be describing these things and going into detail with this in our course that I'm coming out. Now, I do have a radionic course that kind of talks about the founders, talks about a lot of these issues generally, and I will be expanding on this yet again here with our many breakthroughs that we have as we go and perfect this energy. We're not researching any of these energies. We are perfecting them right now. I know exactly what they are, and now we're just figuring out how to use equipment and proper procedures to use these into the highest, most efficient way. There's no research going on into what is it, how do we do it, what type of tools we need. We know all that, and it's not what you think it is either. Very advanced. If we're not using electromagnetic based energies, then we don't need all this metal type stuff in the units either, and that may even actually be hurting it. I've always been using for the last 30 years photonic energy, and we're moving into that, etc. But for the time being, these electromagnetic based or metal type machines and so forth do the job. And of course, you have to take this energy and you have to amplify it through special amplifiers and transmit it through special transmitters. Very, very important, because it's not electromagnetic. So if you stay in that realm, you don't get very good results. So the number represents that. So if you want some sort of spiritual protection, you want success energies, love energies, well, these aren't things that you can materialistically make. Can you make love energy? Well, no. Can you make money energy? No. You can't make this. What's the form of money energy? So the form of that, because it's an informational energetic field in general, because that's when people make a lot of money and everything else, they all have these informational energetic fields that are stuck to them. They are constantly manifesting for them, and they do this by concentrating and creating that informational energetic vibration around them. Now, many people do this consciously. Other ones do it subconsciously. There certainly has been authors out there, like Napoleon Hill, etc., who have given people these techniques for over 100 years, and many other of them, of how to condition your mind to keep drawing this energy in. Now, only using your primitive mind, and that's what most people do, and this slops over into consciousness somewhat, is a very primitive way of doing it. But visualization and other things do work. But there are techniques to make them work better, and you need to know how to do that. So you have to get this particular rate. Now, this rate really can only be made by professionals. With years of practice, and if you go through my courses and use my technologies, you'll be able to reach a level to make your own rates. In the meantime, you have to use the rates that I've made. Now, right at this particular time, we have 4 rates we've made up that we've placed on sigil fields. The numbers are placed on top of an energetic field, which has a lot of other energies in it. Pretty much sigil energy in it, and then we take the number sigil energy and put it on top of the energy of the other things, which is very complex. What do you put underneath there that stimulates that particular energy? Well, this is something that takes years of research, and we've put this together ourselves. But the bottom line is that you have to know what you're doing to make something like that. You can make your own rates eventually, but in general, using radionic equipment is not easy. Getting your own rates, can you concentrate? Can you visualize? Now, these are all the things you can learn to do, and I have tools to do that. We try and get people to do that, but nobody wants to train themselves. Everybody wants to run a race. They want to drive a Ferrari when they can barely stand up on their bike. Well, we all are like that, and I certainly understand and sympathize with that. But the point is that anybody who does anything to a high level has spent years doing. What is years doing? Well, I have 20 years experience. Yeah, it means you have 20 years of hard work behind you. And you've learned your trade, because you haven't just learned from the books. Well, doctors and so many other people who are mostly highly incompetent learn everything in medical school. Well, okay, and they pass the test. And then they pass the boards to become a doctor. Because even though you get a medical degree from a college, well, that's not good enough. just like a lawyer. You have to then pass the bar association or the medical association in that state to prove you know what you learned in college, which I think is kind of bizarre. So you have to pass all these tests. Yeah, but it's all bookie tests. There's no real world to it. So, and certainly there's a value to that, but we certainly aren't putting out quality people by just having them pass tests. So what you do when you say you've had 20 years experience is that you've had the bookie test and you've had real world, which should hone you into a synergistic reality that you know what you're talking about. You've been on the front lines. And you have to know that because the application told you in college is not the application you're going to get in the real world. They're not going to do anything of what they stated to do in college. It's just a known fact. It's all nonsense. All this nonsense is way, way different than what is applied in the real world. There are money concerns, there are time concerns. You can't do everything by the book, even if it so-called works, because there's all sorts of constraints. It's just nobody does any of that. They don't care about you as an employee. And I remember that in college. I used to laugh what I was taught in business school, because when you go out in the real world, nobody does any of that. It's a joke. We all have to understand that. So when you have those two together, so that's what you have to do. And you have to train yourself. So we have those courses available. So people that want to do that, well, we have it there. It says Dr. Thor's training system. Well, there's certainly no flood to get that. We sell lots of equipment, but our courses are rarely purchased. So you have to understand the foundation of manifesting. You have to understand the different aspects, but you also have to train yourself in the ultimate secret, which is the actual being able to center yourself. That means you can concentrate to get the correct numbers on your dials. Can you do that? Most people can't. Don't think you can. I've been meditating. I'm a visualizer. I don't believe it, because if you learned other people's systems, you ain't doing it right. Because they ain't doing it right. So once you learn how to kind of keep one thought in your mind for a couple of seconds, which is very difficult, then you move on to, or with the same practices, you learn how to visualize. And there are ways to visualize and ways to hone that skill, and we offer tools that do that. Fun tools. I make everything interesting. I don't know if people look at this stuff and kind of chuckle at it because it's toy-like. That's how you learn. How did you learn everything in life? Major institutions like the Princeton engineering schools that study psychotronics and psychic powers and SRI all used training tools which were toy-like, video game-like, lighting up colors and numbers. This is how you learn. Make it fun and you'll master it quickly and you'll do it. Nobody is using these tools. Very few. So if you don't have the visualization tool, if you don't have the psychic empowerment tools as well, we have a whole kit to build your psychic powers. Fun stuff, things that you can turn wheels with your mind. It's amazing when you start turning wheels with mind power alone. And it shows that there's a power there. So if you're fooling yourself by blowing on it or doing other tricks, well, then you're just a dumb bunker. You're just the lowest scum on the planet. Why are you trying to trick yourself? So I don't even understand any of that. And you're not putting on a show to make money like they do and then criticize others who is their competition. So if you're not using those, well, you can't get your own rates. Now, with our machines that we sell in sets, you get 4 of these rate plates, and I'm now making new rate plates, and I hope to come out with lots of these. Unfortunately, all sorts of things are going on that delay new products from coming out at this and the rate that I want them, but I will be moving over to that, having hundreds of rates in the future. In the meantime, you still have 4 excellent ones for protection. There's an antiviral energy rate. There is a money rate. And now escapes me what the other one is. But so you have all those problems. You also have problems that most likely you're crossed. I mean, it's a complicated area. I've been in this for 50 years now. I know what the problems are. And the whole idea is to think you're going to go out and just use very advanced technologies by turning some dials of some machine you get. It isn't going to work, people. It doesn't work like that. So first of all, we're using bioconsciousness. These are bioconscious machines. They work on thought form energy that then becomes amplified. That's what a rate represents. It's an informational energetic field, but you also create informational energetic fields or connect to them through thought forms. So, and let's get into that right now here. I hope people have got this. I think it's difficult for the average person to understand this. I don't want to talk too long because too much info is more confusing. So I hope everybody listens to something like this several times and kind of gets it. So when you get our equipment, well, of course, you can buy these for rates that are on these little tags with the sigil behind them to activate them. You can get these. And we're trying to figure out ways of how to do this inexpensively, but having a nice little metal tag, and there's going to be things you use all the time. We can also make personal rates up for you, your own rate for what you want. These are the most powerful. We are using general money protection rates now. Now, if you get your own rate and we put it on a tag, and it's difficult to do this because it could get very expensive for you, but if you do that, particularly for certain problems in your life, you are going to then be able to handle things much better because there's a money drawing rate. Yeah, I need money. I need to bring money to me. Well, yeah, there is a rate for that. It's a general rate. Now, is that good for you? Well, it is good for you. But is it the ultimate? Well, no, it's about 60% of the power that you can get. So you're getting about 60%, 40 to 60%. I mean, it could be as low as 40%, but hey, that's still pretty powerful to draw 40% more energy in a particular area that you need it. Now, where do you get 80, 90%? Really, technically, 100% of that energy coming to you is when you have a specific, your rate made up. So your rate made up is an energy, the money drawing rate for you, Joe Smith. So this is the money drawing rate in general. It's the money drawing rate for Joe Smith. And we'll be offering these and in the near future for sale. And you can get these, and as I said, if it's a critical area in your life, maybe you have health crisis problems or you have other things, well, you need to get a rate to pull in for that, specifically handle that. You can use the general rates for other things. But, this is an investment in your life. I mean, people spend a lot of money for stuff that maybe it has uses, but it's even technical. And I've seen people that have 150 tennis shoes or sneakers. What do they call them now? Running. You used to call them running shoes. They spent $200 each for them. That's their collection. And I guess you get some sort of immediate use out of them. But certainly they don't last forever. When you get a rate card of yours, you have something that lasts forever for you. And you get immediate results from it. Now, the problem is that people, when you put on some running shoes, you can run. You feel them, you look at them. When you put a rate on something, you may not equate that with the success you're getting in that area. And this is always the problem, because first of all, there's a lag. And then you want to say, well, I'm not rich. It didn't work. Well, again, you're getting into the naivete. It's like saying that you're going to put on Michael Jordan basketball shoes, and gee, I got his shoes on, how come I can't shoot like him? Well, that's the same equivalent you have there. Life is a progression of building energy and breaking through blockages to achieve the goals you want. Now, our goal as Radionic Tech is to get this to happen in your life as fast as possible. But let's get it clear that you have to also understand, where are you? So, how is money going to come to you? If you're working a job, and you could even be an executive, middle, or you could be somebody who's just working in regular lower level jobs, which are probably more important than most executive jobs, but you certainly ain't getting to pay for it. So if I can't check out a Target, I'm pretty pissed. So, and certainly that guy who runs Target ain't coming down there to open the cash register. So the whole idea is that you have to understand where you're at. So how is money going to come to you? And this is the foundation I built in all my courses. And people are not buying enough courses to understand things. They want the quick road. And I was like, I don't give me philosophy. But first of all, I don't even believe in philosophy. I believe in gnosis. Gnosis is action thinking. It's thinking solutions that you act upon. That's what gnosis can be defined as well. So it's not about philosophical understanding, but we are in a philosophical conundrum as well, but I won't go into that now. But you've got to put that in action. So this is what we talk about in What Can I Manifest, a book that is part of a series that everyone should have. If you don't have that, and that's offered on my courses, and we have courses there and we show you to go, and there's not that many of them. And they are talismanic books, and you get CDs with them. So the book itself generates energy for you. You have sigils in the book that you put photographs on. So this is part of the process as well. So if you're not doing that, well, the machine's going to do it for you. But the machine works on bioconsciousness, meaning your energies put into a machine. That's the future. That's real energy, people, not having a machine do something, because this is not. A machine doesn't understand what money is. AI is a fraud. All that stuff is nonsense. You have to program that in. I don't care what kind of fuzzy logic and all the other nonsense they do. These are bioenergies, and you have to amplify them to manifest them, and we give you the systems. So you first start with the thought form. That goes into a particular type of tube amplifier, and we're the only ones that use it. Wonder why? We're the only ones that know what's going on, and use special transmitters. Why? Because we're the only ones going on. You want to go back to 150 years ago to orgone? Nonsense. So all this stuff is just plain silly garbage. So, and of course, it's supposed to be silly garbage. The powers to be want you to fail. They don't want to empower you. They want to sell you garbage and have you fail. That's the way it is. So I'm the lone wolf voice of this, and believe me, all sorts of background harassments I go through all the time because I'm giving people potent technologies, and they fear it. So the whole idea is that you need to get into this, and you need to get into it now. What is available in the future may be very questionable. So the whole idea is that when we all look at it this way, you have to understand that. So you have to get this training and understand what can you manifest, what stops you from manifesting, what is the realities. You understand what a channel is. Where are you at? If you're going to make a lot of money, how is it going to come to you? You think a bucket of money is going to be in front of your door? Well, it doesn't work like that. I wish it did, but on the other hand, I wouldn't share it. So the whole idea, and that's with anybody with super potent technology. In the end, the only way this whole reality stays kind of together is by the fact that there are all sorts of little tricks that have to go on. Everybody just can't be manifesting buckets of money in front of their door. What would that do to money? Think about it. Just think if everybody could win the lottery, or let's say even a lot of people. All of a sudden, a lot of people started winning the lottery. Would there be lotteries? Well, no, they'd come up with another trick. And if everybody had money, money would be valueless. We got to understand that this is how this reality works, whether we like it or not. So all of this is part of it. So how are you going to bring something to you? What channels are you going to open? Now, this is all described along with having empowerment sigils in What Can I Manifest? And we explain all this. What does it take? What are the brain states? All of this is explained in these books, which are mostly pretty short, easy to read, and certainly aren't literary masterpieces because of my dyslexia, but they get the point across, and they have loaded with power. So what do you do? Let's jump ahead here and get right to the point here. When you write what you desire on a piece of paper, you have created a lower level radionic rate. And that's how most things work. Now, when you use our boxes or all that we provide right now, we have all sorts of cool templates and other things, and boxes themselves. What you're doing is creating that bioconsciousness energy. When you write it down there in your handwriting, insert it in the box with your photograph, you are creating a rate for that for yourself personally. So I need $5,000, or best way to write these things, I'll correct myself there, is that I'm enjoying the $5,000 that I have. You put that in the box, you put your photograph on top of it. Hopefully you have also added a plate or two in there, amp, because non-electric stuff, getting back to this electric situation, which I've already said, well, it's not electric. Why do you say you need electric? Well, because they're not working on electric. Our amplifiers and transmitters are special energy amplifiers. Now, you do plug them in and everything else, but the bottom line is that the main area is not using the electrical. It's using the electrical as a carrier wave. And also, we're creating special energies in our amps and our transmitters because of what's on them. And we actually use special sigils to change the internal functioning of those products to operate these special fields. Because radionics is a special, unique energy field unto itself. It's basically the field of creation. This is what the entire universe uses to make the universe. But the problem is it's not programmed very well. So you go into space, you find all sorts of chaotic nonsense, toxic balls of whatever, gases and other things. Well, why is that? Because it's kind of operating on autopilot. So it's just producing things out there that could possibly in the future convert into something of value. But it doesn't know. That's where you come in. And those energies as a bigger picture are called occultons. You interact with them using psions to create specific informational energetic fields. So I'm going to lay all this out in a course and everything else very soon here. It should be a written course, which I'm going to have numerous little booklets, and then we're going to have, of course, the lectures, which I think are very important. But, it's always nice to read something and then get more information or what you consider a detailed lecture on what I just wrote. And that's what I'm going to be doing, as well as having very important sigils with numbers that energize you for things that you need. So it's a very fascinating, very unique, synergistic system that I've developed over the last 50 years using literally information that goes back, hundreds of thousands of years. Who knows how far back some of this goes, but it certainly goes back to the great societies which I'm connected to, Atlantis, Egypt, the Mayan cultures, all of these things that go back. But it wasn't them that did it. It was the people that came there and taught the Egyptians and taught them. And, of course, they went into decay. But there is that universal gnosis brotherhood that is what all this knowledge is about. So when you do that, now what is the other thing you must have? Now you must have one of our cameras because that captures the energy or your informational energetic field of you personally extremely strongly by the way that we have modified our Instamatic cameras. Now, our Instamatic cameras we use is the one that came out a few years ago, the sharper image type. That may change, but instant camera is instant camera. You're not taking pictures here that you put in an album. You're taking energy pictures. Now, what we do with these cameras is then put special sacred geometry, special energies. We block negative energies and we increase positive energies. So when you take a picture of yourself or your family or anyone that you can get a personalized picture of, the pictures suck. So certainly not good cameras, but they are super energetic, which no other cameras are. Now, Polaroids in general work good, but what you get with a Polaroid maybe is 60%. With our cameras, you're getting 90% energy in them because the photons that bounce off of you that then create the picture have been amplified and the energetic fields have been increased that go into the substance that is on a Polaroid. So we need to understand that as a bigger picture. So it's critical that you get that. It's one of the important areas. So it's a one-time investment that'll last you for the rest of your life. And it's really not that expensive. Again, if I look at the cost of some things, and my mouth hangs open. $200 for a serum to rub on your wrinkles, which certainly is going to last you all your life. It may even last you a couple of years, but it doesn't. And what does it do for you? You looky pretty? The inside of your body's rotting? Well, get something that has value. And everything that we sell are lifetime tools. You basically don't need to purchase them again. There are a few items that you run out of, but they last even for years, like our alchemical oils. With our roll-on applicator, they actually last for years. So they're a great deal to use in general. And those are the other things you can put on. Now, we have a particular rate card that you roll onto the card, the oil, and then you put that in your box. Now, this is a way that you are able to use hundreds of rates right now. And all you have to do is buy the initial oil, which is about $22 as of the time of this recording. You get that bottle, you roll it on the rate card, and then you put it in there. Now, you can get oils for just about everything, and that's the beauty of the oils. They're ready to go now. They are rates. They don't have the numbers, but you have the vibrational energy there created by the physical substance and that's what alchemical oils are all about. So you've got some very interesting oils. If you go through the formulas, you'll see them for just about everything. All sorts of God forms for all sorts of energies and feelings. It's all there. This is something that has been perfected over the last few hundred years by alchemical practitioners. And as such, and we've used them for many years, these formulas, with fantastic success. Just about everybody. I've never got a bad feedback from the actual alchemical oils. Everybody loves them. They feel the energy when they get them. All you have to do is rub that on a card, put that on top of your picture, state what you want. You should still write down there, I'm enjoying the money, I'm enjoying perfect health, I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying that. You want to state things as they're done. If you state things that they're gonna be or working, well, this is a confusion to your higher self. Because then you're saying, well, higher self, work on this. Instead of saying, higher self, make this happen. Or higher self, it's happened. Make it into physical form. That's what your higher self's supposed to do. So this is the kind of little details that are critically important, because there's so many consciousness things that, while your consciousness is smart, in some ways it's stupid. So you've got to really tell it. And you got to keep the common mind out of it, because the common mind pollutes it and twists it. So you have those rates right now. Make sure you get a card for that, because the sigil that the oil is rubbed on is very important, because that activates the energy there. All of these steps are critical. We're talking about subtle energy physics here, and this physics is very important. So if you put a low energy in there, well, it's going to go out low. But then we take a strong energy, we amplify it even more, and then we broadcast it through a special process when you're using. So now the basic symbolic stuff is pretty good, but if you have a serious blockage in your life, you're not going to get any results, or you're going to get very little. So most people have very serious blockages in their lives, so they need strong energies. Now, there's a long history, a lot of research that has tried the non-electric machines against the electric machines, and the non-electric machines have failed all the time. They just can't break through some blockages, and they work slow. So we offer these inexpensive non-electric tools because they do work, and they will help you in your life, but most people want much better results. So you can't really judge this entire process if you're not getting a actual upgrade. We call them upgrades, where you just slide the box on top of the copper plate that we have there that feeds into the amplifier. Now, these are pretty inexpensive to get. So it's a small investment for a huge payout. You're going to use this the rest of your life. And of course, that's how all these things work. Basically, what we're doing with a lot of our amulets, our energy cells, is that we're creating this energy that we attach you to, that then goes into your energy cell with your cosmic code on it. What is your cosmic code? Well, that's the radionic code for you could call it. Now, there is a universal radionic energy number that represents you and you yourself only in this universe. And that's what we put on the back. So they're very effective tools for that particular purpose. Now, these can be placed in your radionic box as well and broadcast to you even stronger, even though they're always sending out energy. But these can be used as rates as well. But we set them up specifically for you. And what we're trying to do here is we're able to make less fancier energy cells for you specifically for other purposes. But having an energy cell like that, that is gold-plated, which increases the energetic flow again, is certainly a great tool to have. Unfortunately, they're expensive to produce. So we're trying to find other less expensive ways, and we do have less expensive ways, but we'll be setting up rates as well. Now, we'll be talking about this and making a video about it soon. But what you do initially, so you should get a camera as soon as you can. The other thing you need to do is you're writing that down of what you desire. I'm enjoying my $5,000. You put that on your photo. And if you don't have a Polaroid as of yet, use any picture that you can. And put your statement over that. There are also ways of getting your own numbers again. We're going to show people how to do this and at least how to start off with and everything else. And we're probably going to be having tuning boxes in the relative near future, but that is going to be a while. So all of these things we have to look at and have to be very concerned with to how this process works. Now, it's a simple process once you're set up and doing it. Initially, nobody knows how to do this right, and there's not a single book or course out there that teaches you how to do any of this stuff, and it's usually generally based on that person's technology. So they're going to make a machine and they're going to tell you how that works. Well, that's not going to help you with any machine other than theirs, and most likely they're doing it wrong. There's all sorts of things out there. There's all sorts of empowerments out there that people are using, and we just don't know how any of this works. Some people claim amazing things, but when we really get down to it, there isn't much amazing there at all. So initially, it's very simple. Your writing down of what your desire fulfilled means is creating an informational energetic field that is now in that piece of paper and now is put in a machine that amplifies it. And that's as simple as that. So the level of amplification depends on the type of technology you have. So if you don't have the electrical components that are amplifying it, you're then decreased. But these symbolic designs have been used for many years with great success, and few people understand the power of just a drawing. And someday I'm going to show you how powerful a drawing is by actually showing it to you. So, and how they can change the energy of something, make you weak, make you strong, just by drawing some lines on a piece of paper. So this is a verified, but you got to remember, our images, our symbolic machines are not that image. We have built into that image all sorts of other energies that make them work. So there are hundreds of radionic symbols in our radionic energy cell. So there's all sorts, and other symbols as well. So you've got these stacked on each other to cause this energy vibration that is really unbelievable, and they work fantastically. So our actually radionic energy cell is something everyone should have. And again, you can use this every day of your life in a few seconds. I hope people have watched my recent vaccination videos on YouTube, because what I've shown you there is how they're used. And they do amazing, shockingly effective tools there, even beyond my expectations. So these kind of things are going. So you're using your brain power, which can do everything if you access it and amplify it. So we've already shown what people can do, or not. We know what people can do in all aspects of their lives if they can tap into that. The problem is tapping into your powerful bioconsciousness is not easy, because your mind messes it up. Your mind comes in and tells you, well, no, the reality of life is this. The brainwash part of you comes in and basically knocks down the giant block building you just made of positiveness is smashed all the time. So all of these have to be done. Now, the training talks about this, and all of our courses have multiple CDs where I give further lectures on everything. Not only that, the CDs themselves are special sigils that empower you. The books have sigils in them. This is not what you think of as a common tool. So I don't think anybody gets this, and we're going to try and get more videos out on this, demonstrating it all for everyone so that they kind of get it. So you don't get it, and this is so advanced, and it's difficult to explain these things properly. But our books are beautiful, they're full color, and they are talismanic in nature. They're producing energy for you that you draw into yourself. So it's a very exciting process, but in terms of rates at this particular point, we are coming out with more. But what you have at this point is you have these 4 different, or maybe 5 now. What is it at this point? It's 4 at this point, and they are small basically tag style. Front and back is a full color image with the rates on it, and this is what you get with it. Now, our older units, we had big, large kind of credit card size. These have been phased out to the new type, and they are on sale now. So if you want some of these, you need to grab them while they're still there. There's only very few left, and we're going to be converting over to the new tags, which are the smaller ones. And they have multi-uses as well. If you have one of these tags, you can carry it with you for protection, for money drawing, success, etc. So there's lots of uses, but you get stronger uses when you actually put them through a machine and project it at you directly. Let the energy go directly into your Instamatic photograph and start making you into a magnet for that. So once you're vibrating that energy, you're drawing in all the energies for that. So if it's for money, you become a money magnet. So any opportunity that comes up for you personally will be drawn to you. So all of that can happen, and there's a long line of success stories I have with this, how people get stuff unexpectedly. The point is, things come to you. Some people have cashed in big, others small, but it depends on your life again. You can't expect to get something like this and win the lottery. Now, we've had people that use it for gambling and have made a lot of money that way. We've never had anybody win the big lottery, but we've had people go and pick up scratch-ups and make scratch-offs and made $1,000. We've had people win more times, and that's what you do. You make yourself luckier. And you win more often, which adds up to a lot of money. It certainly adds up to the price of these tools very quickly. People usually get hundreds to thousands of times back, but it's all individual. Nothing can be guaranteed and insured for every person, but in terms of in general, yeah, everybody benefits. Now, what level that is, I don't know. Do you think it's good enough? Well, everybody wants to make millions, and I think that's kind of childish. It's like saying, I want to be Spider-Man. We all want to be superheroes, I guess, but what does that mean? Well, the point is you can maybe do things kind of like a superhero or have some similar ability to a certain level. But, super beings don't maintain on this reality. That means you've now been broken through the system that is here, and you ascend to be a higher person. It's just kind of as simple as that. But these are other things to actually go into. So looking at all this, we need to fully understand all of these aspects. So that's how rates work right now. We're coming out with more rates, and the way you do it is by getting your actual oil card and then getting the oils for it, which are approximately $22 each. You get the card, then you start buying the oils. You rub a little bit onto your card, and that. So go check the formula page out. That's how you can have instant rates now, and that means that's what a rate's going to cost you. Now, this is not a personalized rate. It's still a vibrational rate, but we have alchemical formulas for just about everything. So it's something that is a great way to use right now. And because there's a certain vibrational energy there, they're very potent. It is not a numeral rate, and that is one of the drawbacks. It's not as strong because it hasn't been defined perfectly by a number. And secondly, it isn't a number for you personally, as I started all this out with. So hopefully this is clear. We will be putting up on our pages, on our catalog, our main website, and others, the services we're offered to make these rates, because that's where the big payoff for you basically is in the long run. But you still need broadcast tools, and you still need good ones. Don't buy a bicycle and expect to get a car benefit from it. Meaning if you buy a non-electric unit, that's what you're getting. You're getting a bicycle. Does that get you there? Yeah, it gets you there slow, and maybe there's problems, or maybe you can't take it out sometimes because of the weather. You want to make sure that you invest in getting these simple, easy-to-use tools, and they're not that expensive, considering you're getting a lifetime tool. You have to make this part of your life. So the whole idea is every day you're going to be sending a thought form into these units to manifest what you want. And we're in very tricky, dangerous times. You want to make sure you put a thought form in there like, I'm at the best health of my life right now. I'm enjoying the great health I have. So I'm enjoying the great protection from disease that I have. So all of these thought forms are very powerful. It's the same thing if you're going to go to a place to do something or you're looking to make money. Now, I'm enjoying the extra profits I made from this business I started. All of this you're going to do daily. I'm enjoying, I had a great safe journey over to my friend's house, even though it was very bad weather conditions. This is the kind of things you do. So you use this all the time. You make it part of your life. Now, if you have a particular energy cell that you're wearing around your neck, and particularly the radionic cell, all you do is hold on to that with your two thumbs and you put the thought form into it, and you have now sent that energy to. So your environment and yourself is vibrating that protection, so you get to your friend's house safe even though the roads are icy, that you get that job, that you're directed to the right scratch-off ticket. And that's happened a lot of times. Here again, people have won, but nothing huge. As I said, the top amount right now has been about $1,000. But it gives you an edge, and that's what life is all about. If you're going to meet somebody, you put that in there, saying whatever you want to get from that person, whether it's a sale, whether it's a contact, whether you want to work with them. Well, you do all of that, and you do all of that constantly. So those kind of things work, and that's just what life is all about. And people that are successful do this either naturally, and then, success breeds success. You work with a bunch of successful people that have lots of money, that know how to use the system. What do you think happens? They become richer. That's the way it is. You have to get the edge to be able to go in and play with the big boys or in your life and manifest what you want. That's what this technology is all about. And as I've been saying for years, this is manifestation science, and this is science. These are informational energetic fields that have created the entire universe. Now you have to take those and bring it into your life personally. And it's all offered there, and it works fantastically for just about everyone. Work with it consistently, and we've never had anybody fail. People would like to have a lot more, and so would I, and we're working on that to get higher breakthroughs. But successful people tend not to think they need this stuff, so they don't use it as much. So what happens is a lot of people struggling use it, and they do get benefits, but everybody wants to have a perfect life. I'm afraid that is very difficult. But if you work consistently, you know all the secrets of what can I manifest, how to do it. You're doing the correct visualization, using the correct tools. It's a process. First of all, I think it's very fun. It's not difficult, and you do need to apply it like everything daily for like 15, 20 minutes a day. And if you do that, you'll see your life completely turn around. I've seen it hundreds of times, and you need to work with it. So that's how all of life works. So I hope this has been very informative. We're always here to help with specific questions, and watch for our new videos to come.